after talking to Big Nick, who's Walter's friend, and Walter on the phone here, he said he had had similar same problem before, and he had called the AC repair guys, weather engineers, and they came out and tested the system and said there wasn't any leak. But I think they missed the leak, and they recharged the system with Freon for about 120 bucks. So I'm thinking of calling them if I can't get this resolved myself. But I noticed when I opened the system up the other day that this whole area here, which has like a radiator-like grill, was all dirty. And I didn't bother cleaning it because I didn't know it's supposed to be super clean. And because the blower wasn't, the problem was up here where the blower wasn't turning. So I didn't mess with this area here. But I noticed that this is all iced over. And you can see, I'm going to try to pull it off here, how dirty this really is. It's got like a bunch of slime. See all this hair and stuff that was stuck up in here? It was even more of it. And I was able to pull off, let me try to pull off a sheet just to show you how clogged up maybe it was. So this might have been what was restricting the airflow because there was no filter on the system. And I did put a correct size filter. But see all this gunk and goop that was down there? So I'm basically cleaning up. You can see the vents down there. I don't know, you can't see the vents, but see the little vents and how dirty they are? That's, try to get a better shot here. See how dirty all that is? All that black slime? That's what I'm going to get off there. I think that's what's blocking the airflow and making the whole system clog up. So that's going to be the plan, is to scrape all that stuff off, get all that slime and hairy gunk off there, and see if we can get the system functioning again. And if this works and everything works, well, we at least know how to potentially fix an air conditioning system that doesn't seem to be blowing cold air. I'm hoping maybe that's what it is. It's just the fact that that was all clogged up, which would explain it. Because see, the system sucks air up through here, and it goes through the coils, which is supposed to be cold, and then it blows cold air up through the system and spreads it out throughout the whole house. And if this whole system wasn't working, which it wasn't, because you can see all that ice, it's like snow out. It's like being in Alaska or somewhere where it's like constantly frozen. So I'm going to let it thaw out and clean up all this goop that's down here, because it is nasty. The whole thing was like black and it's not supposed to be. So we're going to clean it all up, make it nice and clean, and then run the system and see if that doesn't fix the problem. Wish me luck. Look how nasty the stuff is that I pulled off there in just one pull. It's all coming from the vents there. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like a radiator grill up under here. See all that? That's all covered, and I think that's why the AC, that whole thing was covered with this slime, which is why I think the AC wasn't working. So I'm actually pretty optimistic right now that this is going to fix the problem, because I can see now why the system would blow and blow and blow and air wasn't coming through, because it was completely covered up over here. So that's because they didn't have an air filter here and they had the wrong size before. So I'm gonna, I have the correct size one, but it got all wet and the system froze up. So we're gonna clean all this, and I think that's gonna fix the problem. I'm actually pretty optimistic, so cross your fingers, everybody. Alright, so after about 3 hours or so of scraping, cleaning, thawing, trying to get the system here straightened out and working, I have removed, I think, all that black slime, or most of it, as best as I could by just peeling it back, and I sprayed some bleach up in there, so it's probably going to smell like bleach when I run the AC. Kind of letting it dry off a little bit. Might need to clean some more later, some cleaner or something. And I can see there's a mess there. I left a piece of towel in that needs to be removed. Remove that right there. You can see the ice chunk, one of the ice chunks that I removed. The whole thing was encased in ice, and look at all that slime and black crap that's in there. That was from there. I used a toothbrush to kind of scrape the little fan vents here, these vents. See them? Yeah, I guess those are called the coils or something, but hopefully that fixes the problem. So if you have an AC that's blowing, but not blowing it, you know, like the blower's blowing and the outside fan is blowing, but the inside is not blowing anything. It's probably because this spot right here that pulls in the air is clogged up. And what had happened was, see, there's a filter that goes on here in this panel here, down here. Well, when I first saw the unit to look at it, it had the wrong AC filter, and it was sitting like jammed up in here, but it was allowing particles and stuff to get up and caught up in there. I didn't know that was a problem, even though I saw it was black before and it's kind of slimy. I didn't know that that area was supposed to be totally clean until I started thinking about it. It's like, you know, that's where the air goes through. So you have to make sure you get the proper size filter and put it down here, which we do have, but it's like wet right now. So I'm letting it dry outside, and then I'm going to bring it in here and try to start the system up, and I'm going to cross our fingers and hope that everything works. Alright, I've shut the fan off. I think the system's been thawed out. Tried to clean it as best as I could. I think the vents are about as clean as I can get them. And unfortunately, I don't have another filter, but this is the filter that's in here now. It's the correct size, but I think I'm going to clean that little spot right there before I run the system. I think it's just time to cross our fingers. This paper towel here. To wipe this little last section here off. And run it. And see what happens. How dirty that stuff is. That's gross. You can see that hair and stuff. That's what all was caught up in here, freezing the system up. But I think the vents look good on this side. I'm trying to clean everything here before it all rusts out. And that's all our dirty, sludgy stuff. Sorry that the camera seems to be having a hard time focusing here, but I want to go ahead and start it up and see if we can't get the system working. Cross your fingers, everybody. It says it's 83, but it feels a lot hotter in here. Coming on, but the and the blower's blowing. Woohoo! The blower's blowing. So if everything's working, it says it's set for 78. Let's see if we can't get the house to cool down to 78. I'm going to go ahead and seal this up because the air is supposed to... What's supposed to happen is air is supposed to come through here. Dirty air will get filtered on the filter there, so it doesn't go up and clog up those these vent holes. The air comes up through here, goes through the vent hole, and all these coils are like super cold. It makes the air cold, then it blows that up through there, which has the, see that little round thing? That's the spinning blower that blows it throughout the whole house. The initial problem was that blower wasn't working. Now I got the blower working, but all this other stuff wasn't working. So, cross your fingers that this fixes the problem. I'm going to see if it's blowing somewhat cold air. Might take a while. I don't feel any air blowing, but it's because I have this blocked off right now. So I'm going to have to close this up so that the air can suck up through here, let the coils get cold, and let the air blow up through there. So I think I'll do one more episode just to let you guys know what happens in the end. Sweet air conditioning. It's been about 15 minutes or so, and you can see we were at 84 degrees, and now it's down to 81 degrees. The thermostat is set at 78. The unit has been reassembled. I put the filter in there and put the case back on. I close this up. So air is like blowing out the blower, and you can really feel it. It is nice and cold. Yeah. Woo. Nice cold AC. Thank goodness. Thank God. And thank you for all of you who have been praying for me and hoping that I at least catch a break. It ended up costing nothing. But the problem was trying to figure out what was wrong. And so my advice is make sure that if you have an air conditioning unit, and it looks like the manual got all wet here when everything thawed out. But make sure that you put your filter on there, and you know, the correct size filter, and clean it out every couple months. And also check your coils. Check to see that the radiator light thing is not clogged up. And also be sure to flush the system. Let me show you here. See, there's I'm not really an AC guy, but I really don't know anything about it other than what I've seen the repair guy do and show me. But this thing here, water drains down from the AC and comes down here, but sometimes it gets clogged up in there with goop and stuff, and water will back up. And if water backs up, there's a trip switch, because there's a flotation switch on here. It trips and it shuts the AC unit off. So what you want to do once a year or so is open this up and just pour down a cap full of bleach, chlorine, down here, and that'll eat through and clean out the flush the system out. Maybe do it every year or every 6 months or so. But also at that time you might want to check the coils and check this area to make sure it is all clean. That way cold air can see. Cold air is being sucked. It's not cold air, but house air, whatever the temperature is, and that's how it gets colder and colder. As the air here is starting to get cold, it's pulling in colder and colder air and going through the system, going through the filter right here, which is supposed to catch all the dirt, hair, and other crap that had got caught in the little radiator thing, and that's what was clogging up the system, making it not blow. I mean, it was it was a different system situation than the blower not blowing. I'm not sure why the blower wasn't blowing, other than maybe a sensor saying that it wasn't getting enough air coming through and it's shutting itself down. I don't know if that's what happened, but regardless, I ended up getting the blower to work, and I sprayed some WD-40 in there to try to make it spin a little bit better, and basically clean the filter. I mean, replace the filter with the correct size one, and clean the I don't know what it's called, if that's called the coils, but it looks like a little radiator, and it's where the air goes through and hits the cold coils and goes through the system and blows out throughout the whole house. So I want to thank everybody who's been praying for me, and it looks like all our prayers got answered. The cost for this repair was pretty much nothing. Just some time spent running around changing thermostats. I am going to go ahead and order a new capacitor just in case, because I think if I can get the correct match online, it's going to be about 15 to 20 bucks versus having it installed by a professional. You know, when it does go out, that could cost me a couple hundred. So, you know, $15 repair versus a $200 to $400 or $800 repair, you know, just by replacing a capacitor, which really isn't that hard. But I was really surprised that I got this thing working, so I'm quite happy right now, and I'm sure my wife will be when she gets home. Thank you all for tuning in, and hopefully you find the information that was presented here helpful. If your AC has a symptom of blowing, like the outside is blowing and the inside is blowing, but there's no cold air coming, it could mean that you're low on Freon, but it could be as simple as this. The filter is totally plugged up, or the coils themselves are plugged up. So I'm going to be watching it, monitoring. See, this should be getting, it doesn't feel cold, but it should be not freezing up. And if it freezes up, if the coils freeze up, then that means I'm probably low on Freon. But right now the system appears to be working. You can see in the time that we've been talking, it's dropped down to 80. So when it gets to about 78 or so, it should stop. And if that works, then it looks like we got the AC system working. And Walter, if you're watching this video, you now know what to do to maintain the system. I would probably check it out every 3 to 6 months. Make sure everything's clean, and that way the AC keeps running correctly. Cross your fingers, everybody.